when I think about the kind of culture, there's so many facets to it, and how we're providing, more of that kind of overt, really clear acts of support. We had a dance party, and, I was maybe not showing off the best moves, but showing off moves and just being able to be real, but also holding space for each other. We had a lot of losses this year, and we created different spaces where, I was able to cry because I lost loved ones, including some of our students and members of our community. And being able to show that authenticity and how we can be vulnerable together has been really important for showing that culture of care. And also just being transparent about when we get it right and when we don't get it right together, and being able to pick ourselves back up and go, okay, but we're trying. Right. And so those are just little elements of how we can do that culture of care.
So last year, and I'll just speak to my school specifically, we have a large staff of about 100 teachers. And because we all went virtual very suddenly last summer, we decided to do a lot of book clubs virtually. We had, I would say, 85 of our staff members voluntarily did these book clubs. We were able to pay them. And they were all about content, right? So like how to build relationships, how to be teacher leaders. But the magic that came out of it were the relationships that were built. And keep in mind, we'd all work together, but we have 3 stories on our school. And so we were getting teachers from different floors connecting. And then we decided to pursue a book club that would go throughout the year. It's Elena Aguilar's book. It's called Onward. If you haven't read it, it's phenomenal. It's meant to go through the entire year. So what teachers typically experience in November, you're already discussing in the chapter. And we had 45 teachers sign on to do this. So they would meet once a month in small groups. We had 4 sessions, so there were about 12 of us. And we would really be able to be intentional about our goal. And we were able to be vulnerable. We were able to acknowledge that we were feeling scared, or like we suddenly weren't good teachers, or like we didn't know how to show up for work when we were worried about our loved one who might be in the hospital at the moment. And so we were really able to honor this idea of doing the work of self-care instead of just saying, oh, let's do self-care, and then holding each other accountable. So then when we would have a staff meeting and somebody would say, oh, here's your long list, we would pipe in and say, but first we need to balance that. Let's take a moment of gratitude. Or like tonight after school, a bunch of teachers decided to play loud music and decorate our school sidewalk with chalk, not just for our kids so that it's great, but so that we would have time to talk with each other and just bond with each other, and really being intentional about that space. One of the book clubs we did last summer was Thomas Murray's Authentic EDU. And he used an analogy that we've all heard, right? We've all heard when you're on the airplane, the oxygen mask drops, you put it on yourself. But what Tom says in his book is that's really a terrible way to think about self-care, because when do you put that oxygen mask on? When the plane's going down, right? When there's a problem. We shouldn't be waiting until there's a problem to take care of each other. We should really start now and be intentional. And what we've really done at my school is know our triggers. So each of us have done a lot of deep work about what is it that sets us off, but then also knowing our fillers, like we were talking about, right? We need to know how to fill our own cups, but then knowing how to talk about that, how to name those emotions, and how to really have those courageous conversations with each other, where I could say, Emma, it really sounds like you're struggling. And Emma won't feel like she has to be perfect. Instead, she can be real. And so we've just done a lot of work that way this year, being intentional and coaching each other, because it is a process from what we were doing, where we were all trying to be the best that we could be, not acknowledging that we weren't taking care of our whole selves.
One of the things that we've really tried to do is encourage that the vulnerability is, and what we kind of define as strength is actually vulnerability. That asking for what you need, that talking about these things, that's actually not weakness. That takes way more strength to be able to ask for what you need. And I try to practice it. I literally did this earlier this week when I said to staff, I'm feeling like I got a lot of balls in the air too. Can you please help me? If I haven't responded to something, can you help make sure I'm being responsive and cue me, right? Just even those little acts. So I'm modeling it as well and encouraging all of our staff to do the same. And I think we spend a lot of time checking in on each other, and really goes back to those relationships, and also receiving when someone else is checking in on me. I think it's so easy for all of us who are doers and givers, and teachers are just, seen as the kind of penultimate givers, and we have to give and receive. And what does that look like in those relationships being developed? And so, some of it is about the structure of doing these things, and some of it is just that informal, hey, I was just checking in. How are you doing? Right? I noticed this the other day, and how did you respond to that? I saw it in the news, right? What's going on? How was that for you? I remember you lost someone, right? And just checking in. And I think that's been really critical for us to sustain each other.
One of the things for the employee assistance program is that we've done a lot of throughout the district, because the employee assistance program, we're responsible for the district. So one of the things that we've done is have a lot of district-wide team building events, and the idea is to just consider all of us a team. And so we've had events virtual that have invited the individuals from the entire district. And so what we've done is we've encouraged you to say, get together with a couple of people from your site, or if you believe in the 6 degrees of separation, we're saying there's only 6 people maximum between all of us. So being able to connect with people throughout the district without a lot of effort, when usually we'd have to drive somewhere. So it's really kind of maximizing the benefit of the virtual world, is that you can connect with more people more easily. And so that's really how we've really tried to maximize it for staff, is to have events and things that allow them to connect district wide to care for themselves and one another.